Hi there, this is Pam. Today I am going to share with you a trick that I have done to get a black ink pad to stamp the first time without using a stamp positioning tool. Now a lot of people do have the MISTI or some other type of stamp positioning tool where you put your stamp in here and you can open it up, ink it, and keep going until you get a good image. Now there are lots of different techniques that this tool is good for, but when I want to stamp just like one image and color it, that annoys me that I have to keep going over it and over and over it. Why can't a stamp pad stamp the first time with black? I've been fighting this for quite a long time, and it just annoys me that a black ink pad won't stamp for me the first time. Maybe it's me. I don't know. I've been fighting this for a long time. So here's what I want to show you. This one, all these inks here are good for alcohol markers. They won't bleed out, so any of these will work. I do have reinkers for both of these brands. This one here is brand new. I have not used or have not bought a reinker for it, but any reinker for any brand will work for what I'm going to show you. And I have also read in forums about, well, maybe it's the paper. Your paper's not getting the ink well enough. Well, that's not it either. As long as your paper for coloring with alcohol markers is an ultra smooth and made for alcohol markers, that has nothing to do with it. I have bought this Bristol Smooth Surface 100-pound weight, which is good. It is very thick, and most of the time I don't buy the dies that match a stamp set. I fussy cut it out. That Bristol paper is really thick, so for I mean, I still fussy cut it out by hand, but it's just a little thicker. Most of the cardstock, or all of the cardstock I use, is Stampin' Up. I have used it for years. I find it a great value. 20-pack of cardstock for like $8. The Whisper White and the Very Vanilla, you get a little bit more. But their cardstock, it's this one here. It is a little thinner, the Very Vanilla, or the Whisper White. It's thinner, but it doesn't matter. It still colors with alcohol markers just fine. And these are some of the samples that I have stamped out. This bottom piece is the Bristol paper, and this is the Stampin' Up paper. So, I mean, there's no difference in the paper. So it's not the paper, it's the ink pad. So, what I tried a little while ago was using this Stampin' Up ink pad that was dried out. I bought it a couple years ago. This is not the archival ink. This was the original dye ink. They quit making this and they went to an archival ink. Well, now they're changing it and they're not having the archival ink. So I couldn't tell you what the new formula of ink is, but it doesn't really matter what color the ink pad was. If it's dried out, it's dried out. So I took this ink pad, and it is the foam. It is Stampin' Up's foam pad. It is not the felt. And I took my Memento reinker, because I do like the Memento ink. I took the reinker and I put it in this foam pad. And I've read other people have said, different forums and whatnot, that, well, you can only use a certain ink on a certain pad, and you can't use you know, the foam with this type of ink. Not always true. I think the real difference between inks and using a certain pad is if it's a pigment ink or if it's a dye ink. Pigment inks aren't going to soak into a felt pad very good. I'm not saying that that's true, but it's the ink pad. Now, I have re-inked these, not this one because it's new, and I will stamp out a little bit samples. I don't know if I'll do all one because I did it the first time and the video ended up being real long. But I wanted to show what this ink pad does. And this is a new stamp set from Your Next Stamp. It is called Photo Booth. Aren't they cute? This is a little bit bigger set. Normally their sets are only about this long. But these are a little bit bigger images. But it's new, so that's why I'm going to use it. And it's photopolymer too. So photopolymer are just a funny stamp anyways. Some inks don't adhere to them, like distress ink. It's great for all kinds of other applications, but I can't get it to stamp well on a photopolymer stamp. If you ever watch Tim's videos, what kind of stamps does he use? He uses rubber stamps, not clear stamps. So that's just me. I've had both for quite a long time, and they're funny. So here's my kind of homemade ink pad, a little bit, I guess you could say. Foam pad, and this is Memento ink in here. So my sole purpose was just to get a stamped image clearly the very first time. So let me get my, that's good. And I chose this image because it does have their black noses, black ears. It's a good sample to show. Look, it is ready to color as long as it dries a little bit there. Now the Memento ink doesn't take very long to dry anyways. So, but look how pretty that is. Now I'm going to use, it's the same ink, so I'm not going to wipe that off. This is the Memento actual ink pad, and they're felt. They've had that ink pad for a while. Same type of ink pad. Now I said I did re-ink this. Oops, shake the table. Before filming. So let's see what it does to compare to mine. Now, from this distance, I can see a difference. Sure, it's black, but is it as black as I want it? No. That's why we all have the stamp tool. Stamp it 2 or 3 times. That's not cool. So here's a little close-up. It's faded out. It's not black. So, same ink, different pad, and it works the same on this Bristol paper also. I just stuck my finger in the ink. But this one, I thought I bought it because I watch other people use it, and I am gonna wipe this ink off of here because it's different. I've watched people use this Hero Arts ink, so I thought, well, maybe that one's the right one. We'll try it. Well, I'll show you what it does. It's about the same as the Memento ink. It's not too bad, but it's not as good as mine. So, that's a no in my book. I want a black ink that's going to work the first time. Now, if you don't mind bothering with the stamp tool, then this video is not for you. But, for those who are frustrated, like me, so frustrated with black inks. Now, this is from Your Next Stamp. They do have a nice black olive ink. I do like it. It does work good for alcohol markers. I think I moved that one. But again, I want it good the first time. That one's not too bad. It's still not as black as the one that I made. Now, I'll show you real quickly a rubber stamp. But so many companies make clear stamps. Most of them are clear stamps now. So here's a cute little panda bear. That's from Unity Stamp. All of their stamps are rubber stamps. So let's do, let's do the Bristol paper. Since, like I said, it doesn't really matter your paper. As long as it's a smooth surface, you're good to go. And your ink is good for Copic, whatever, Spectrum, whoops, whatever alcohol markers that you have. I have both. Got Stampin' Up! Alcohol markers. I have Letraset markers. Now look, that's terrible. Is it not terrible? That looks bad. So how frustrating is it? So some people don't have a stamp positioning tool. I mean, they're not cheap. That little Misty is $50. It's small. You know how many stamps you can buy with $50? So, again, here, I'm out of the camera there. Here's my Stampin' Up! Foam pad with Memento ink. Rubber stamp. See what it does. Look how pretty that is. So, that is my tip. Now, some people don't have Stampin' Up! Ink pads. Some people don't buy Stampin' Up! Ink pads. So, I thought, okay, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Foam, not felt, foam ink pad to use, there is another option. I do have this uninked foam pad from Ranger. It's kind of like their felt cut and dry, but it's foam. It's made mostly for pigment inks. You can make your own. Obviously, you can see I've cut mine up. It comes in a big 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 11 or something like that sheet, and you can cut it up and make your own. Now, this is kind of messy because I don't have it in anything. You get ink all over me. But I just cut a little piece of it. Now, it's a lot softer foam pad than that Stampin' Up! One. But it will work. I left this set overnight, so I'm not sure if it's dried up or not. It does make a little bit more of a mess on your stamp. It gets down inside, as you can see it on that little, on his head there. Because it's so soft, I don't have that light of a hand. I get it down in there too far. But it works too. So some people may be able to buy that a lot easier than the Stampin' Up! One. Because if you went to buy one right now, a brand new one, Stampin' Up! Doesn't make uninked foam pads right now. I don't know about the new catalog coming out. Maybe they will. Because if you buy one, you're going to have to get all the ink out of it to put black in it. But you can see that one's pretty good using the Ranger foam with the that's the Memento re-inker in there. So, like I said, this is a foam pad from Stampin' Up! That was dried out, that I put Memento re-inker in, and it is the best black ink pad that I have had for years. I don't have to put my stamps in my stamp positioning tool and ink it 3 or 4 times just to get a good image. I can stamp it once, I can let it dry, and you're ready for coloring. So here's these ones I did yesterday, but there's the one I just did, and it's dry. It's ready for coloring. So I hope that you try that out, whether you use a Stampin' Up! Ink pad that's foam, or the Ranger foam ink. You will guarantee enjoy that much better than getting a non-stamped image. That just annoys me, and it has for years. So I thought I'd share that with you all if you would like to try that out. It works great. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.